Welcome to the next tutorial on cleaning up your 3D scan. In the previous tutorial I showed you my workflow for making a 3D scan ready for visualization. Here I will show you how I prepare a 3D scan for 3D printing. I start with the cleanup stage from the last video. So in order to 3D print our little project, we have to continue our cleanup process. To redefine the shape on how we want it to be, we have to sculpt it. In order to do that, we need to add a modifier to remesh the object into a quad mesh. Let's select the object and go to the modifier tab and hit remesh. Select smooth and go up to 8. Let's open our statistics tab. In the top left corner you can see that we cranked up the mesh to 72,000 faces. Before that it was around 50,000. But for 3D printing those numbers don't really matter. We also can check the smooth shading checkbox and hit apply. Alright, let's go to sculpting mode. The only brushes we need here are the smooth tool and maybe the crease tool. So let's reduce the strength a bit to 0.5 and the radius maybe up to 100. And start by smoothing out the beard. So if you're using a FDM printer, those ugly pinches won't print in any case. And also we should redefine the line between the beard and the head. Let's do that first. Select the crease pencil and pinch. Okay. Select the smooth tool and crank up the strength a bit more. The beard will be unfortunately quite flat, so we have to remodel its structure by ourselves. Okay, I think we should give it a shot. Let's go to layout, and so we messed up the bottom plate with our sculpting. We should correct that with our beloved wool process, and in that case we can also get rid of the pinches at the bottom. At least some of them. So add the boolean modifier, select the cube again, hit apply, and you can get rid of the cube. Okay. It looks all good and shiny. Okay, so Blender's remeshing modifier is not really good, so we have to jump into instant meshes. That's another software that has a good remeshing workflow to get rid of errors like this one and some other things. Let's export our friend into OBJ and jump into instant meshes. In instant meshes we can already see this mesh from Blender has already some weird problems. So let's solve them quickly. Just hit solve on this one. Over here you can use a comb to guide the lines, but I think that won't be very necessary for this one. Hit solve on the second one, and this one gives you a preview on how the mesh will be looking. You see this is already a lot better than the mesh modifier in Blender. Hit export mesh. You can choose here pure quad mesh. This is an important part of making the scan game ready. And if you would like, you can smooth one iteration and then you can extract the mesh. You see it's already very clean, and then we can save our little guy and jump back into Blender. Okay, so here in Blender you can see it. The mesh is a lot cleaner than we could possibly ever achieve it with the Blender modifier. Let's continue. Tap into edit mode and you can see this weird color. This is just a marker that Instant Meshes has added to the object. We can remove this by going into edge mode, selecting all and right clicking and clear sharp. Okay, let's go to the bottom view and make sure that we have a even bottom plate. Next thing is we need to have a look at what our 3D printing add-on says. You can activate this add-on by going into Edit Preferences and Add-ons and type in 3D in the search and make sure that Mesh 3D Print Toolbox is activated. After that you can see on the right panel 3D print. So what's important, you have to make sure that non-manifold edges is 0. You can achieve this by selecting all and click Make Manifold. And the next thing is you have non-flat faces. I have 3 over here. You can correct this with clicking on Distorted, and if you check all again, this should also be 0. I'm not really sure what 0 faces means in this case, because when I select it, it just selects the whole object. Yes, I have thin faces in this model, but I will leave this as is. I'm not sure if this will help in any case if I trouble myself correcting those. And overhang faces, since this object is floating around, we have obviously overhang faces at the bottom and around the nose. That's it. Those we can correct by moving the edges a bit outward, and this should remove those overhang faces. Alright, so I think our BOD friend is 3D printable right now. So tap out from edit mode and export it as STL. And let's have a look in Cura. That's my go-to software for 3D printing. What it has to say about this one. Loaded up in Cura, we can see in relation to the build plate, the model is life size. But I don't want it to be this large, so I reduced the scale a bit. So there's no big issues in this print from what I see. We have a bit overhang at the nose area, but I don't think with supports this will make any problems. If you still have trouble with your model, you can get one extension that's called Mesh Tools, and in there you can, for example, check models. This will tell you if the model is watertight. And this is one issue we address in Blender with the 3D print add-on. Another thing could be if you go into Mesh Tools, you can fix simple holes and the model normals that won't be printed correctly, and a bunch of different other things. Let me get through the settings quickly. Layer height is 2.8, that's fine. Infill is 20%. I think we can reduce this to 10%. For my personal preferences, the initial layer line width, I cranked that one up to 120%, and the initial layer flow up to 150. I learned that this helps to create a good starting layer. So the print speed, we can crank that one up to 60, I believe. We can check support for the nose and hit slice. 2 hours 4 minutes. In the preview we can see how this possibly can turn out. And let's have a look inside. Okay, nothing too fancy. I'm excited how it comes out. Let's print. I tried to improve my workflow in a way that there will be fewer steps between a fresh 3D scan and a solid 3D print. So if this topic interests you, please let me know in the comments and consider subscribing for more videos on this subject.